Well, Chris, we want to turn now to the Kuwait-Iraqi border, and that's where NBC's Dana Lewis is standing by somewhere in the desert. And Dana, what can you tell us?
Hi, John. A very strange situation developing here tonight. We are with the 101st Airborne Division at one of their camps, and we have just received word, I guess in the last 15 minutes or so, that we are to go to bunkers. You're talking about hundreds of soldiers that had been in dining halls. They were asked to leave, and as you can see, this is actually a bunker behind me. We have moved the camera over here so that we're able to get on the air, but also be close to something that is safe. There are reports, and I don't know the exact basis for them, that there may be an incoming heavy barrage of missiles from Iraq, and that may happen within the next 15 to 20 minutes. So we have been asked to come into these bunkers, to bring our gas masks with us. We are not in chemical gear at this point, and to stand by here waiting to see what may happen. If there's a launch, of course, you'll hear the alarms go off here, as they did earlier today when they had those initial attacks on Kuwait City, and when they had the outgoing missile intercepts. But at this point, this is the situation here, John.
I would assume that, of course, these guys have a job to do, and they're busy doing their job, but they probably want to know what's going on with the war in other places. Have you been able to provide them information about that, or are their superiors giving them some of that information as well?
Are you talking about the soldiers that are behind me?
Exactly.
Sure. I mean, actually, we have a small satellite dish with a television that a lot of soldiers come and they'll just stand in front of that and watch that. There are other facilities on the base for the command staff, so they're watching what's going on. They're even listening to radio in Baghdad, so they have many different sources. And, of course, they have sophisticated intelligence sources as well, giving them information all the time. And I would suggest that from one of those sources now, they have received this warning telling everybody on this base to go and head towards the bunkers and sit and wait to see what develops here. Obviously, if there's incoming, then there will be the possibility of an American response and outgoing. So we've been warned that both things may happen.
So you're very close to the bunker if you need to get in right away.
Yeah, I mean, these bunkers, I mean, it's difficult to say what they can do for you. I mean, if it's a chemical attack, the bunker's not going to do very much for you. If there's an incoming missile, though, certainly there is the danger that you could be hit by fragments, and these bunkers will stop that. There's concrete over top, there's sand on both sides. They're not underground deep bunkers, they are above ground bunkers. They provide some protection, and for people who want to go in that bunker, they can. I mean, I can tell you earlier today when we had the incoming Scuds, we initially went in them and then we went out. But they're close by, but I mean, you know, if a Scud is going to land right on top of you, that bunker's not going to do very much for you. So you take your chances and you just pray that whatever comes in doesn't land anywhere near you.
You know, we've heard so much about how anxious many of the troops are to get on with this thing and get it over with so they can go back to their families. And yet today... And yet today,
especially after those attacks, John.
Right, of course, and that's what I was going to say. Especially after the U.S. attack, but the Iraqi attacks on, you know, toward the U.S. troops in Kuwait. It must be difficult for folks in the 101st Airborne to sit there and continue to wait much longer. Absolutely. I mean, they were having to wait today because of this ship of theirs that has just come in for the 2nd Brigade of the 101st. It's got a lot of their vehicles that they need to cross the border with, the heavy trucks, the Humvees, even some of their artillery pieces. So they have to wait here and they have to get that equipment together. They'll be doing it very quickly now over the next 24 hours. But certainly as these attacks have occurred, we spoke to some young soldiers today who said, look, you know, the sooner we get across that border, the sooner we push up and disarm him, the better, because in the meantime, there's always been this concern that where we are in the Kuwaiti desert, it's a huge staging area for American forces. Saddam knows that and has for months, and it presents a target of response for him. And there's no way that all these soldiers suddenly cross the border in 1 minute the moment that the ground war begins. So they are, in a sense, sitting ducks. They have tried to disperse some of their assets. I don't want to go into details of that, but for instance, many of their helicopters had been in one place at one time. Now that is no longer. They have taken the Apaches and the Blackhawks, they've moved them to different staging bases and forward operating bases so that they disperse those targets in case a missile gets a lucky strike. But indeed, these soldiers want to get this going. They want a quick war, and they want to go home again.
Yeah. Dana Lewis with the 101st Airborne. Dana, take care. We'll talk a little later.